But let's talk about the defense for a second, a little bit more detail. If I say to you, or let's just say, coming up, next guest is Nick Sorensen. And so now we got Sorensen in here with us. What's the primary question to him? Is it, who is the free safety? Is it, do you have a free safety? Is it, where the hell's Leonard Floyd been the last 2 weeks? Is it, what are you going to do without Javon Hargrave? Is your secondary have enough speed to compete? Is it Devondre Campbell? Are you going to have to bench him for Curtis Robinson? Is it, hey, Nick, what the heck is Isaac Yiadom doing playing over Renardo Green? Bench Yiadom for Green. I mean, where would we start our conversation if Nick were here? I mean, what question do you have for him?
I think right now it would still be Javon Hargrave above all of those other things, just because it's the most recent. And I do think it's the most pressing. Like, I think he is, of all the players you mentioned who are struggling, he is the best player. He is the best player that the 49ers now know they do not have. So I would start there. But to your point, I mean, there are questions everywhere surrounding this team defensively right now at the safeties. Yeah, I mean, teams are attacking Devondre Campbell. Teams are attacking Yiadom. And yeah, I think we're at a point early where the questions are starting to be, are you going to look to make some changes, some personnel changes? Is Devondre Campbell not going to be playing as much as he's been playing? Is Yiadom not going to be playing as much as he's been playing? Who is that next man up going to be in terms of the interior defensive line? So no, I think you're pretty much on point with all of that.
I think my collective question just would be, and I know it would be viewed as argumentative, but it's one that I'm considering going with later this week, which is right now, Nick, are all your best players on the field? Forget the hurt guys, but just of the options that you have, are you playing your best guys at every spot? Because I don't think he is.
Well, the thing
I think he's playing Campbell because they signed Campbell. I think they played Oliver last year because they signed Oliver. I mean, it's like the rest of us saw that Oliver wasn't any good, except everybody saw it except for them. And it's like, you played Oliver, you cut Deshaun Jameson. Then you wind up cutting Oliver and benching Oliver. You never should have cut Jameson. Now you're sitting Robinson, who clearly outplayed Devondre Campbell. You cut Jalen Graham. Jalen Graham's clearly better than Devondre Campbell. Faster, younger. I think better, more of a future. I don't get it. The Niners seem like there's other things besides who's best that go into the equation as far as who plays.
Well, you have your initial plan, and they signed Devondre Campbell because they thought he could be a stopgap for Dre Greenlaw, and that was the initial plan. Now, I understand, like, to me, there was nothing that I would have seen in camp to where you would say, okay, Devondre Campbell's not going to get the first shot. All right. But now the question is, it's not working out. Do you need to go in a different direction? And who are they weren't, it didn't come down to, it was never an open competition of, did D Winters have a better camp than Devondre Campbell? Or did Jalen Graham have a better camp than so-and-so? Or did Curtis Robinson, who I thought played pretty well, was he better? It wasn't about that. It was, you have Fred Warner, and you have Flanagan Fowles, incumbents, and you have Devondre Campbell, who's going to take up that other spot, and that's going to be the guys at the start. So when do you make the switch? I think we're at a point right now where it's fair to ask the question, is it time to make a switch at that particular spot? I think when you look at, Yiadom, I thought had a pretty good camp. I thought he had a pretty good camp. There's a difference between a guy having a good camp and what the rest of the league views him as. And I think we've seen that the first couple of weeks because it's been 3 weeks in a row. And I think part of it is the reputation of Mooney Ward. And I think part of it's the reputation of now Diamador Lenore, who are two, elite corners, I think, although Ward struggled against the Rams. So where are you going to attack? Well, you're going to go after that third guy. When you're going to get that third guy on the field, and you're going to go after that third guy. So Yiadom, I think, is at a point where teams have gone after him, and he struggled. And so now you got to look at, is Renardo Green a better option there? I think if they felt Renardo Green was a better option coming into the year, I think Renardo Green would have been playing. But Yadam played better in the preseason and in camp than he has by a lot in the first 3 games of the year. But teams are the opposition is telling you, I think, the answer to a lot of these questions. So those are the 2 spots where I would say it's fair to raise, should there be somebody else on the field when they play the Patriots on Sunday.
If it was me, I would start Renardo Green and bench Yadam. I would activate, no doubt in my mind, I'm activating Darrell Luter Jr. because he can cover, and Rock Ya-Sin. Those guys have to be activated on game day. I need as many guys that can cover as possible. And if that means I can't have, Malik Mustafa right now, then I can't have Malik Mustafa right now. But I'm getting
he's been disappointing, I think, to this point. Like,
I don't even know that he's played that much. I couldn't really even tell you how many snaps he's played. It's not a lot.
Against the Vikings, it was some, and then he had the miscue on the punt return as well.
Right. He missed the tackle. That's right. He missed the tackle on Xavier Smith.
Yep.
He wears number 6 now. You're right. I'm picturing 43 or whatever he was in camp.
I know that caught me in Minnesota from behind. I'm like, who's 6? And I kind of did a double take when he initially got subbed in for Odom in Minnesota. I had to look down at the card. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. Mustafa's 6.
So I'm going with Green over Yadam. I'm going with Luter active over Mustafa. I'm going with Curtis Robinson over Devondre Campbell. And I'm starting Jordan Elliott for Javon Hargrave. And I'm promoting T.Y. McGill from the practice squad. What do you think? I mean, would you go with Givens or McGill or Elliott inside next to Collins? I mean, I don't know that anybody has looked great, but I think Elliott's got the most size and strength and ability.
I'd go with Elliott, but you need everybody. But no, I would go with Elliott for Hargrave. And I think McGill is the guy who gets bumped up. And I think, you roll with that, and Givens is going to be in the mix there as well. So no, I think you're spot on there. Now with Renardo Green, are you playing? How are you doing that? Are you playing Renardo Green on the outside and then kicking Lenore inside, because they've been going with Lenore and Ward in the base, and then kicking Lenore inside at that point?
I like Lenore as a tackler more. I mean, if Renardo was a bigger, more physical guy, maybe I'd have him play the slot and let Lenore play outside. But I think Renardo can play outside. I'd put Renardo outside and I'd let Lenore play inside, because Lenore, I mean, that's the other thing. You can't take Lenore out of the box. I mean, you've already done enough to hurt your run defense. You got to figure out ways to get your best run defenders on the field, and Lenore is a very, very good run defender. But my big one is Campbell. Campbell's, D. Winters took over for Campbell in the second quarter. Eric Branch asked Shanahan on Monday, was this because you were not happy with Campbell? And of course, Shanahan was like, no, of course not. And of course, the answer is, of course, that's why Winters was in there, because he wasn't happy with Campbell. You think coaches just voluntarily take guys who they like the way they're playing off? He's playing great, but let's take a look at Winters. What the hell? No.
But the other thing they have been doing that a little bit. Like they have been
flashing Winters. They're trying to get Winters on the field.
Yeah, they make plan, and they did it with Malik Mustafa too. It wasn't, hey, Odom's got to get off the field. Like it sounded like they planned on, in the Vikings game, Malik Mustafa was going to get a couple of series. Like they plan these like rotations to get to split time sometimes at different positions. They did it at right guard last year. If you remember, they were getting Feliciano some snaps for Burford. Like they do.
The Niners have juggled where other teams don't.
Yeah, they do try to get almost like a basketball lineup, right? Like, hey, we're going to give this guy a 6-minute run, and then we're going to take him out, and then we're going to play this other guy for a minute, and then maybe we'll go back to the first guy. Like, they do that more than other teams do.
Shanahan's going to Ty Jerome, and if everything works out well, maybe Anthony Lamb. Campbell, though, has allowed 14 catches for 149 yards and a touchdown on only 16 targets. He's only been targeted 16 times in 3 games. He's allowed 14 catches. So he just can't cover. I mean, he just cannot cover, and they have to get him off the field. And I know it sounds like I'm picking on him, but I'm really not. I just have noticed that it's just he's not that guy. And I'm looking at some of the Niners' defensive numbers, JD. Points allowed per game, 23rd. They have allowed 23, 21st in the NFL. Defensive efficiency, 25th in the NFL. Yeah. Defensive EPA, 24th. Yards per rush allowed, 4.5, which is 21st. Yards per play, 6.1, which is 30th. Third down conversion rate of almost 53%, 52.9. That is 30th.
Yeah.
Success rate versus the run, 51.6. That's 28th. I mean, if I'm Nick Sorensen,
matches the eye test. I'll tell you that. All those numbers to me match the eye test.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's exactly what we're saying.